The Writers Guild of America strike officially began on Tuesday afternoon after negotiations fell through on Monday night. Members began picketing at 1 p.m. on Tuesday at various locations across New York and LA. The strike has the potential to impact and delay various shows and productions if the standoff drags on. The two sides have not yet agreed to a time to resume negotiations.
Hey y'all, it is day 51 of the writers' strike, and today we are holding a massive rally on the streets of Los Angeles. Thousands of writers have come out today, but we also have thousands of workers from other unions. We have musicians from AFM, we have actors from SAG Actor, we have crew members from IATSE, truck drivers from the Teamsters, laborers from LIUNA. They have all come out here today because they know that our fight is their fight, and because they know we are going to stand with them when they are taking on their tough fights in coming years.
Lights have dimmed in Hollywood tonight with actors walking the picket line instead of the red carpet. The entire industry is shut down with actors and writers on strike together for the first time in more than 60 years.
No new talks are scheduled, and it's not just actors and writers who are impacted. Those who work in catering, costumes, makeup, so many behind-the-scenes people are now also out of work.
Studios negotiate.
This morning, the Hollywood writers' strike hitting the 100-day mark. Joined by actors at the beginning of July, neither union budging from their demands for higher pay, better staffing, and increased benefits.
We are not on strike out of greed, nor do we begrudge the companies their success or deny their struggles. We all must succeed together. But the changes the companies have orchestrated in the business have made the profession of writing untenable for us and for everyone who comes after us.
The Writers Guild of America releasing this Labor Day message today, stressing the importance of fully resolving the, quote, existential issues that have been at the forefront of the writers' fight since the strike began 126 days ago. Hi, it's good to see you. Day 133.
Is that what it is? 133?
Yes.
When you've got a strike that lasts this long, you've got to keep people engaged. And so that's really what this is about. It's not so much a difference as it is a continuation of the situation that if we don't see a deal with both unions within the next 4 weeks or so, and we're unlikely to, frankly, we probably won't see a deal until next year, because you get into November, the holiday season, and the amount of time it takes to do these deals and get them ratified.
Do you think it's going to go even further beyond January, February?
It might. And, you know, then you start getting into the expiration of the other SAG After contract I alluded to, and also the IA, the crew union, and the Teamsters. Their contracts expire, you know, in the spring and midsummer and so forth, and it becomes a mashup.
This is a moment of history. That is a moment of truth. If we don't stand tall right now, we are all going to be in trouble. We are all going to be in jeopardy of being replaced by machines and big business. Who cares more about Wall Street than you and your family? You cannot change the business model as much as it has changed and not expect the contract to change too. We're not going to keep doing incremental changes on a contract that no longer honors what is happening right now with this business model that was foisted upon us. What are we doing? Moving around furniture on the Titanic? It's crazy. So the jig is up, AMPTP. We stand tall. You have to wake up and smell the coffee. We are labor, and we stand tall, and we demand respect and to be honored for our contribution. You share the wealth because you cannot exist without us.
Hello, listeners. As many people are aware, there is a huge strike happening in Hollywood right now. It's the WGA and the SAG are on strike, and many people seem to be full of questions. Some people are confused. I myself wanted a little bit more clarity of what's going on, what's happening, why are we doing this, and why it's worth it. I have a WGA strike captain, a SAG strike captain, a SAG member, and a non-union SAG-eligible actor and writer to come onto this show and to help kind of walk us through everything and explain what's going on, and for anyone that's interested, how you can become involved with this strike, even if you're not in Los Angeles. So if you've been curious what this is all about, tune in and enjoy. Welcome to IPA Sessions. Welcome to IPA Sessions, a podcast for independent artists. As always, I'm your host, Kay Jacob. And today I'm really excited that I was able to get a special show together for everyone out there, especially for people outside of the film industry. I want to talk about the strike, specifically the WGA SAG strike that is happening right now all around different states, specifically New York and Los Angeles. And I live in the LA area, so I've brought some friends onto the show and some new people that I've met that are a big part of helping with the strike to help everyone else understand and know what exactly is going on. What is this strike? What's it all about? But first, I want to introduce to you guys some really awesome people who were kind enough to give me their time today to come on and speak to everyone about the strike. And I have, first up, representing the WGA, the Writers Guild of America, Leah Folta. She is a WGA member and one of the strike captains helping out with the strike. Hi, Leah.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you. And I really appreciate you being here. And speaking of strike captains, I have another strike captain here representing the SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, is Hayden Hiebert. Hayden, welcome to the show. Hayden is a strike captain for the Warner Brothers lots, and he's been on the ground helping out just like Leah. They're out there in the sun striking every day. Say hi, Hayden.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here.
Thanks for being here, bud. And of course, I have some familiar guests to the show, as you guys have heard before on IPA. I have with us Paul Zacheria. He is a SAG eligible member, and he's working on getting that WGA membership. Paul is representing the non-union folks, the people that are not a part of the union, but are getting a benefit and help from what's going on. So I just want to welcome back to the show, of course, Paul, our very own famous writer that we love so much. Welcome, Paul.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me back here. I am here with all of you guys in solidarity.
Heck yeah, man. I love it. And of course, IPA's very special friend of the show. We go back and forth. I go on his show. He comes on my show. Mr. Brian Kruse of Cruise Control Show, who is also a SAG actor. Welcome to the show, Brian. Thanks for coming on. As always, appreciate you being here. Say hi.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for having me again, Jacob. It's so awesome to be here. And honestly, it's a great cause. So I'm just happy to be here and talk some facts and have some fun. And Jacob, I love your transitions, by the way. I see them. I love them.
I'm working on it. And you know what? Just starting with you, Brian, for those of you, I know you've been on the show many times before, but for anyone tuning in that may not be familiar with you, just tell me a little bit about yourself, Brian. Who are you? What do you do exactly?
Yeah, my name is Brian Kruse. I'm an actor, writer, producer. I also host my own show called Cruise Control. You can find it on YouTube, Facebook. You can find it on all social media forums. But yeah, I moved to Los Angeles because I wanted to be an actor. Got involved with the union quite a bit. I do a lot of committees and I'm running for the board and all that. And I've been trying to just always give back. And, I always wanted to be in front of the camera. So made my own show called Cruise Control. We talk about the news, we have fun, and we do some drinking on Fridays.
That's right. Drunk Friday. It's a great episode. Thank you so much for being here. Just like everyone else, I really appreciate you. And I'm just going to continue around our audio circle of people gathered here right now and have you all just kind of introduce yourselves. And I want to go ahead and go to Paul because Paul has been on this show, as I just previously mentioned. Paul, tell the audience a little bit about yourself, especially to the new listeners, anyone tuning in.
Yeah, so my name is Paul Zacheria, born in Canada, grew up in Michigan. I've been living in LA for almost a decade now. I'm an actor, writer, and director. I used to be a set production assistant before the pandemic, and I've been working more towards writing and acting since. And I also like photography and cosplaying.
Excellent. And Paul, one of the reasons I brought you on today is because you do represent the non-union side of this strike. You're here to, in a way, kind of be the voice for the other people that are outside of the union, and also for anyone outside of the industry that just may not be that familiar. You're here to give them that inside look. So I really appreciate you coming on and being that voice today. Thank you, man.
Of course, no problem.
Speaking of good work and representation, you actually have a fund that you're doing, correct? You're trying to help raise funds for people affected by the strike?
Yeah. So what I've got going on right now is this summer, I decided to open up an Etsy shop. It's called Plenty of Paul. And I started out with just kind of ideas for like shirts and like fridge magnets and, funny little logos and sayings that I wanted to put on these products. And I've also started selling strike related merchandise and just film set life related merchandise as well. I have a certain group of items that I'm selling, and 20% of sales will go towards supporting the Entertainment Community Fund, which helps like all actors, performers, and people who work on set who are in a financial need. And I've also got another set of items that I'm selling that are going towards the Go for PAs Alliance, which was a nonprofit created to help set production assistants and production assistants all over LA who have been affected. As somebody who used to be a production assistant, I feel like we are often overlooked, and I feel like this would be a great way of helping them get back on track financially, and it's a great cause.
Heck yeah, man. That's awesome. I'm glad you're out there doing that. A lot of people tend to overlook the PAs. I know for a fact me and you have worked as PAs together. I've recently made union. I'm with the Hollywood Teamsters. I am a locations manager.
Nice.
This is my contribution to the show. I'm just here to help represent other members outside of WGA and SAG. But thank you so much, Paul, for not forgetting about the other folks out there.
Of course, no problem.
And I can't wait to speak to this next guest of mine, Leah Folta. You're WGA. You are a WGA member and you are a strike captain. You're there on the ground, out there with the signs, out there helping people. Tell me what's up. Who are you?
Yeah, man, today was 136 for us.
Woo,
which
136.
Yes, we do have members who put that on signs or on name tags, and otherwise I just kind of let the calendar happen to me. Like, try to just absorb that information passively because I can't believe it's been so long.
And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, but we'll get into that.
I'm currently a Disney Channel multicam writer. I write with a partner. We are comedy writers in general, but I came up as an assistant and kept working in this world. And then it was like, yeah, heck yeah, Disney is where the universe is putting us. And that's why I chose to be assigned to the Disney lot for the strike.
That's awesome. And thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate actually having a captain on this show because, I mean, you're there, you're on the ground every day. And, you know, for those of you listening, keep an eye on Leah. Leah will be returning to this show to talk about her journey and how it took her from going independent into the union and that trail. But that's a conversation for a different day. I just want to give a little teaser out there. And Leah, I really appreciate you coming on today. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to do anything besides walk around in circles holding up a sign.
Well, speaking of walking around in circles holding up a sign, Hayden, what's up, man? You are a SAG strike captain. Just like Leah, you represent SAG. You're there on the streets every day. Tell us about you. What do you do, man?
Oh, man. So I came from a small farm town up in eastern Washington State. Have to always clarify that. 2,400 people. And I moved down here from Seattle about 10 years ago. And probably been in the union for about 8 or 9 years now. And I'm an actor. I'm a stuntman. I direct. I do some sketch comedy writing. I'm a graduate of Second City, Hollywood. I have done short form improv at Renaissance fairs across the West Coast as a gig. Just done kind of a lot of things to just stay afloat.
That's all
In fact,
actors
I'll probably,
do.
I'll probably be submitting to that Entertainment Community's fund pretty soon. But yeah, I'm a strike captain at WB. I've been out there for I don't know how long or when I really started. It just kind of all blends together at this point. But I've been picketing since the writers went on strike when I could. I started off at CBS Radford because I live really close to there.
Hey, that's where we met.
Yeah, it is.
We worked 5 years ago.
Yeah, standing in.
That's right. I was a PA.
Yeah. What a show.
I appreciate you taking the time. Just like Leah, you guys, I know you were out there all day today, striking, helping keep people safe. And I'd like to talk about a little bit of what the strike captains do. But before I get into that, we're here to talk about the strike. What is the strike? Why is there a strike? The strike started with the WGA. I'd like Leah to take the lead on this and help break down exactly what the strike is, what it's for, and then what you contribute as a strike captain out there every day.
Yeah, well, so the WGA negotiates its contract with the AMPTP, or an alliance of studio producers, every 3 years. So this was a normally scheduled year, and about a year before we begin talks with the studios, the union kind of starts surveying members and deciding what's important to us and getting the temperature on how everybody's doing. And everybody had been saying for about a year before things were it was time to talk to the producers and time to vote on what we wanted to do, everybody in town had been saying, oh, the writers are going to go on strike this year. We really came to a head at basically the streaming revolution where that's mainstream TV now, but we're still getting paid like it's new media. So even though it's these giant companies making the most mainstream A-list productions on those platforms, they still want to pay us like it's a new fringe idea.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
Yes. And I'm sure, you know, like everybody will talk about that affects a lot of other facets of the business as well. But yeah, so that was a huge issue for us. Things had just changed so much. Our pay was based on the network broadcast model for TV writers. So it was decided how much people would be paid per for a script fee and for a week in the room based on the idea that if you get on a show, you're going to be working most of the year. But most people nowadays are working for, I don't know, a few months at a time, if that. And then it could be a 6-episode season every couple years. So and again, this is the biggest issues that affect most of our guild, because again, we have things like AI that have come up that I think we didn't expect to be such a spotlight of this strike, and things like feature issues where our feature writers have been disadvantaged and really hurting so much for so long, and we really need to address the way that they've been hurting as well. Right. I think we're all surprised. You might have seen that like grid of all of our proposals and the counters or lack of counter to them that came out in May, where we just had all of these really existential issues that we needed to change because people couldn't make a living in the business anymore. And they weren't willing to budge on anything. And so now we're in barely a different place now, 136 days later than we started. Like it really is taking time, I think, because again, everybody was just expecting there to be a strike. They have been expecting for a long time to try to grind us down to accept the nothing that they're offering.
And the reason why, for anyone listening, that sounds so infuriating, especially for someone in Leah's position, for many other writers out there. I think for those of you outside of the industry, some people might hear like, oh, who cares if the writers want a higher pay, whatever, just keep working it. I don't think most people understand. And Leah actually said it earlier. You may only work 2-3 weeks. You may work 6 months, but you don't know how long that job's going to last. So yes, sometimes the pay can be really good for that specific job that you're working, but that job, we are like contractors. Even as a locations manager, I am like a contractor. Once my production is over, I have to go find more work. I'm not working year round. Sometimes I have a month or two off. The same thing applies to the writers. The same thing applies to the actors. It applies to our grips, our electricians, our props people, like everyone in the industry that works on film and TV all have kind of like a contract deal. So once that production is done, it's done. So yeah, we need to make sure that there is more work out there for these writers that are in these rooms. And the way that I have noticed is that there is a lot of issues coming from the streamers, a lot of the streaming services. They want to say like, well, we can kind of wiggle around stuff by playing the whole quote unquote new media thing. And so they're like, well, we don't need a writer. So they'll hire like one writer to do a specific thing, but they put all this work onto that one writer, and it's getting insane. It's getting ridiculous. And then of course you have other writers like, hey, I need a job. They could use me. Why don't you hire me? Well, I don't have to hire you because you're a union and we don't need you. And it's bullshit.
Yeah. Or even like they don't have the budget. It's all just like, can you do more with less across the board? And so the people who can't get jobs are suffering, and the people who do have work aren't paid what they need to be paid and are so overburdened that it's miserable. It's just
suffering as well.
Yeah.
Just being paid to suffer, but paid not great.
Yeah, just top to bottom, we're so united right now because there really isn't a segment of this guild that isn't suffering in the current system.
It's true. And, I want to jump right over to Hayden now. Hayden, why did SAG get involved? What is the issue with SAG? What's going on there?
Oh, there's quite a few issues that have been mounting over years of poorly, I guess, acquired contracts. A lot of things going on. The thing that I was really most concerned about was just getting people numbers on sets. There should be like a percentage-based system to get background on onto sets and all this other things. Like, and some of that's kind of being addressed, but there's been some major issues that have, of course, come up that have overshadowed that. Like, I mean, AI has been coming around for years, whether or not people were aware of it. Background certainly have been for years at this point. Like, I talked to casting directors at Central before the pandemic about how they were scanning us, and two of the casting directors were like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "This is what it is." And you could see them say, "I'm losing my job soon." So there's AI. There is AI.
And I want to just jump in real fast while you're speaking of AI. What you were saying about the scanning, that is greatly affecting a lot of working actors, which is your background. Or it's even like some people that you actually see with speaking roles on TV shows that you enjoy, but they're small little bit characters, like the mom from some random show. You're like, oh, it's that lady that plays the mom. That's a working actor. Like, that's her gig, you know? And, you know, I know for Brian, I know that you've had an issue with this because you were recently on a feature film where you were scanned, and you're worried about the potential of them using that down the road. And I know for people like Paul, who is non-union but has done background work and other things like that, if he's to get scanned, and he says, "Well, I don't want to do it," then they can say, "All right, well, then you're out of here." And it's like he loses the job that he's there for, but he also, if he gets scanned, can lose the potential of future work because they won't need him. They've got his face. They won't need actual people to put on the stands and do plate shots and things like that. I'm sorry. I just want to kind of really break that down because I feel like there's a lot of confusion with the AI. Brian, what do you feel about that AI experience? Yeah, the AI is a massive issue. It's a massive issue because the majority of our union really are background artists. You know, so the fact is they're going to pay you. In the agreement that AMPTP put forward, they said half a day's paycheck to scan you one time to use you into perpetuity. Half a day's paycheck. And for most people, that's like $80-$90. You know what I mean? Maybe they'll give you $100, give you that great $100 and then they'll scan you and then they'll use your likeness forever. Disney's been doing it ever since we came back from the pandemic. I know WandaVision, apparently they scanned all their background when they shot it. Everything was green screen and they put all the background in. So people didn't know it's the Wild West at that point. What's happening? For me, I was lucky because I was on a contract for Ant-Man, but they were still scanning me multiple times to be Paul Rudd because I was Paul Rudd's actor double. They used me in the CG stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Slap
in the face. You know what I mean? So that was me. And they put me in the Ant-Man costume. They, put me in the Baskin-Robbins costume and they scan me. There's like hundreds of cameras around you and you have no idea. They rush you to the wardrobe. They rush you to these trailers and they scan you.
And one of the other things is that it's not been known, but you have been able to say no. Like, everybody can say no. And that's the only thing I really want to retain out of that is like, I don't care about $100 bump. I want to retain my right to say no.
Yes.
Because they're not going to do it. And I've said no on everything. I've not been scanned yet. Thor came and asked, and I said no. Some other show came and asked, and they actually said, the casting director isn't going to be happy about this if we tell them. And I'm like,
I've heard that
who's not going to be happy
threats
about losing their jobs?
Hate that.
Casting directors.
Now you two, Brian and Hayden, you're both SAG. Paul, you are non-union. Have you had issues with this at all?
I haven't had to personally deal with this, like the full body scan as a background actor, SAG eligible background actor, but I have seen it done before. I actually remember seeing it done before the pandemic. I was working on a little film called Space Jam: A New Legacy, and they were scanning all their background actors. There are a lot of background actors playing like Warner Brothers IP characters and a lot of them just playing regular characters. And this is what they were doing with them whenever they get like a new background actor coming in to play like a regular background actor. Now, background actors were coming in every single day and being put in like makeup to like play characters or whatever. But this was the first time I had ever seen this being done. And it was just so new to me. And I didn't really question it at the time. I was just working as a production assistant at that time. I should have clarified that. But I didn't realize it would lead to background actors being threatened to barely be used on set. And a lot of people don't seem to realize is that background acting is a great way to get your start in Hollywood, a great way to get your start on set, to be there every day, to work with all different kinds of people, to network, and to kind of get that experience of like working on set. That's how I became a production assistant, and that's how I got to work with so many people and meet cool people like you, Jacob.
Yeah. Well, not only that, you've applied all that experience and that knowledge to your own personal projects. You're an independent artist. We know that for a fact. You are a writer. You have successful short films that have won prizes. So like, you know what you're doing. And a lot of that experience has come from simply being in the background on a Hollywood set. Yeah. It helps. It helps.
Essential on-the-job training.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Like, and I've spoken to an older background actor told me he has every bishop in Angels and Demons. That's how far scanning goes back, at least, is Angels and Demons. That show, he was like, I was the only one that had a good Bishop outfit, so they had their cameras, DSLRs at the time, and it was not 100 of them. It was, like 20 or 50 or something like that, but he had himself scanned, and then they made him every single Bishop in the scenes. Like, if he's blurry, it's him.
Oh, wow. That's what SAG Actor is asking for. Like, pay us for the project, put that in the contract. That's like, yes, you can scan us, but there have to be guidelines for that one project. You can't use it into perpetuity and put it wherever you want to fill any kind of background in the future. That's the problem right now. And that's where all the jobs will go away. Then you're like 80% of your union's gone. It's not right. People are trying to make a living here.
Yeah, and to clarify for anyone listening, this is what we mean by the working actors. We're not talking about, the amazing Tom Hanks and, established celebrities who I know a lot of celebrities have been out there helping stand side by side. And a lot of people seem to think, well, they're just asking for money. It's like, no, they're not there asking for more money for themselves. They're asking for money for the actors that are out there working. Now, do they want residuals? Yes, that's another issue.
Big issue.
A lot of these like big name Hollywood celebrities like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and like Seth MacFarlane, a lot of these guys, they've been donating millions of dollars to the Entertainment Community Fund, to the SAG After Relief Fund.
Very true.
They've been helping out because that's their union. And like they've been helping them because they know what it's like to start from the bottom, and now they're there, but like they're helping out their union. They're helping each other out. And a lot of people outside the industry don't seem to realize. They think, oh, I don't care about actors, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you should, So
yeah. And it's good to see things like that, and to see the support behind it. And also, while we're still talking about AI for a moment, I want to focus on the writing part of the threat from AI. Leah, have you dealt with Have you dealt with any issues or seen anything, or are you aware of anyone who has experienced these threats from AI writing? Is that a real thing? Can they really do something with that?
Well, what's really interesting is because I think it is actively, like you've been saying, screwing actors and replacing actors already. And I think we are earlier on in what they're trying to do with it, with writing. And it was kind of a fringe discussion, or it was seen as a fringe discussion when we were deciding what our demands are going to be. What do we care about? It was a really interesting conversation to watch because it seemed like, oh, there's a couple weirdos who are really loud about it, but we don't really, it can't write a script. It can't write a joke. And first of all, it changes all the time and we don't know where it will be.
Yeah. Skynet. It's crazy.
I know.
This is the worst it'll ever be.
Yeah. I think the bigger point, though, more than whether it can really do it as well as a human, is whether studios will use it to pay people less and use it to replace people. And absolutely, I think there are so many downsides and so many reasons people are better, and it's just a copy paste machine. It's just going to recycle what's already been done, and people can actually come up with new ideas. But if a studio can do that instead of paying a person, of course they're going to do that. So we're just trying to protect people now. We actually, I am trying to remember that at a meeting they said that we didn't know how big of an issue AI would be until they said no to our demands on AI. That they really are planning to use it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I've just heard more and more stories, and people who work in trailers and things like that, people who work in businesses that have more copywriting and more like sales pitch type writing, if that makes sense, where they are actually using AI for writing already. So yeah, I feel so grateful that we caught it and that we're all united about this issue now.
Right, because it's like Hayden said earlier with the AI with the actors. It's been a thing. They've been slowly sliding in there, and like he said, when Angels and Demons came out, they were doing that. So they were testing the waters, and then now they got a solid foothold. So it's really, really affecting the SAG actors. So why would the WGA even allow them to get a foothold? So good for you guys for already being like, no, let's just nip this in the bud right now. We don't want it. It's not needed. And it's unnecessary because human beings are very creative. And we have a ton of great shows. You know, there's a ton of things out there that I personally enjoy. And there's things out there that I don't enjoy, but I can look at and be like, well, that takes imagination. Good for them. It's not for me. That's a great show. I couldn't see an AI bot doing that. And I've seen a lot of jokes. I've seen a lot of memes. Of course, the internet's crazy. So I know that there's potential to be used. It's hit and miss right now. But also Hayden has stated right now it's at the worst it'll ever be. It advances. AI is growing. It learns.
3 years from now, Jacob? Whew, you know?
Right.
Technology changes so fast.
This is just the public tech that we have right now that we see. We don't even know what they have in advanced. Who knows?
And I'm glad you brought that up too, public tech, just to jump in here real quick. I know from personal experience being on set, I have worked on sets before where they brought in this awesome, super cool camera because it came from the military. It was in the military for 10 years, developing it, working on it, using it for airplanes and stuff. And then finally it became, I guess you would say like open domain. And so Hollywood had the money to be able to afford this equipment. And that's why you have such really great, breathtaking looking shows like the new Star Wars series. Just a beautiful show. It just looks really good because of new camera technology.
And those LED sound stages
so you're right.
too.
Who's to say what the military has developed with AI, which is honestly terrifying to think about. But that's a conversation for a different day. And I'm sorry I cut you off, Hayden. Go ahead.
Oh, no worries. For those that are, you know, like, actors and writers and, you know, the creatives, well, like, I've heard, you know, grips are like, well, how does this affect me? And someone was like, it's already affecting you. We don't have to do retakes because they can just splice the faces onto the actors. That's weeks of work that IATSE is missing out on. That's benefits, that's pensions. Like, it's so far reaching, like, locations won't have to find parking for background, you know.
I just go to a rental house and grab a green screen. That's my one day of work right there. Done. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, like the people that'll be like catering, they won't have to make food enough for a huge background thing. The farmers that are making food for the catering, like it's so far reaching. It's insane.
It's really weird to see that trickle down effect that truly does happen. And it's never in a good way.
To add to that,
I'm sorry, Paul.
I was just to add to that, like with background actors only being scanned once and never being used again, you know, whenever they're like big groups of background actors, like, you know, like cattle calls or whatever, they need a lot more extra like makeup artists and hair artists and costumers and props people to work with them to give them what they need. And when you have less of them, then you have less of these crews. So that's another way affecting not just scripts, but also like vanities as well. So yeah, to add to that, that's what it is.
Yeah, when the WGA went the way they did, I was like, how many ADs does it take to set AI background?
But they got more of the stuff they wanted, though, too. They're like right away, like whatever they wanted for AI, the raises, like the AMPTP gave them that right away, pretty much for the most part. It was very easy for them because they are producers, a lot of them. A lot of directors are producers. A lot of ADs get into it. It's like that's just that world. So it's like an easy, I'm going to take money from this pocket and put it in this pocket. You know, that's all that is. And also, like Hayden, like you were saying about the actors or the AI thing, that's a big problem, too, is because in that contract, too, they offered us was about using AI to not bring the actor in for reshoots. That's huge. And so now they're just going to be using other footage and then splicing it together. And then they're not going to pay the actors, pay the crew for those supplemental days. And you know, Marvel, they always add those into their contracts as it is, like 30 days, 60 days into reshoots for everything. So that's always there. So now you're taking those jobs away from all those crew members and those actors. And then you're getting this uncanny valley thing that'll eventually become even better to the fact that why do we need actors anymore? I mean, that's down the line. That's crazy stuff down the line. But that's what we got to think about right now. Because like I said, 3-year contracts, a lot changes in 3 years.
It's 100% job security all around. And I just want to thank you guys for kind of taking a moment with me to help explain the AI, because I feel like there's just been so much confusion with that. And I feel much more educated now. I feel like I'm starting to understand why this is a bad thing. I hope those listening are getting that as well. But what I want to move along to right now is, how is this strike going to be beneficial to both union and non-union, and not just the WGA and SAG?
Well, it'll show workers across the pond, anywhere they're out there, that they can unionize. And I think that that's one of the things that the AMPTP is most interested in. They could pay for all of this easily. Like Warner can pay. They lost $500 million since the strike, and it would take like $440 million to just say yes to the WGA's demands. They want to crush union. It's union busting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They want other workers to see that this is not a way for them to get more money.
Yep.
It's really
You all agree with that? I'm guessing we're all on the same page with that thought, huh?
I was going to say all that exactly, because we have seen already that even before we are getting a contract, it's inspired other workers to unionize in other parts of this industry. Like VFX artists are forming and joining unions where they didn't have
I saw
any
the
before.
carpenters, the construction
Animation
crews were out there. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Our exotic dancers.
Yeah.
I saw that too today in North Hollywood. Yep.
They've been fighting for so long.
Nurses, air stewardess, like everyone. It's insane.
Yeah.
Reality TV stars are trying to join SAG now too.
Yeah.
That's a whole thing too.
We got some wrestlers that want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Reality TV should absolutely be unionized. It's absolutely written. They're not in the Writers Guild.
I've worked on a reality show. You're absolutely right. And that takes a lot of creative writing right there to be able to write something to be like, it needs to be believable, but it can't be like too unbelievable. And you're like, all reality is over the top. It's insane. But somehow they pass it off like this happened right in the moment. We just happened to record it. So many takes.
I did a show called Parental Control I was on, and they gave me an earpiece and they fed me lines during the whole thing, and the girl lines. This is a dating show. They fed lines the whole time. They're like, now say this, now say this, now say it. And they had a writer going
Does
around.
your girlfriend know that you were on a dating show?
Yeah, that was she knows. That was when I first moved here. So that's gonna be damaging to my career someday. I know it will. It's horrible.
That was how they met and fell in love.
On a dating show. See, it's real.
I was told I couldn't bring sexy back though on there. So sorry, I tried.
There's already enough Paul Rudds.
I guess,
I don't know if this is too big of a digression, but what I was trying to say before is I was randomly connected to the strippers trying to unionize when I was in IATSE as an assistant. They wanted women to come talk to prospective union members about the benefits of being in a union.
Nice.
And they've been fighting for so long to be able to unionize. It's been a couple decades since there have been any unionized clubs in the country, and they picketed for 8 months outside of this North Hollywood club before then having to do another, I think, 6 or 7 months of just legal action with the labor board and the Actors Equity Union that they folded into. So with how much support we have and how huge both of our unions are, or all of our unions are, and what a history we have of striking, I always think of how the hell they stuck it out for all that time when they were trying to be the only club in the country. And it feels so hard when we already are this big and have this much support. I'm just in awe of them.
And I just realized, because I'm originally from Louisiana, I just realized today that California is a union state, and specifically Los Angeles is a union town. So the fact that there are still other companies working here and workers that don't have union rights or union committees to help them secure their jobs, like that's insane. Especially that I was told, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Los Angeles is like the #1 union city in the States.
And that sounds about right.
That makes New York.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, but yeah, cool.
Yeah. Check that info. I'm going off of a memory. I could be wrong, but I definitely know it's one of the biggest union cities.
That's what they have been chanting at the pickets. Like LA is a union town. I mean, they're not chanting that just for fun. It is true.
Yeah.
So,
and look at those VFX artists, Jacob. Took them 10 years, over 10 years to get unionized, over 10 years to get this vote, then to join IATSE. So they had that vote on. They had that vote on Monday. It passed on Wednesday, saying, "Hey, we're gonna be able to join IATSE." Now they went through all the labor stuff. All the labor unions had to go through all that, and now there's even like 18 more members of just Disney that are trying to also unionize. So it's going to spiral for more houses, but there's still like hundreds of houses that are visual effects artists that are not unionized.
I actually love that. I want to talk about that for a minute. The backlash from this strike. To me, it's been impressive to see that. It's just how I view it. It seems that it's the AMPT, the producers. I can't forget their long abbreviation. I apologize.
AMPTP.
But whatever they want to. Thank you. The AMPTP. It seems to me like they're just like not giving a shit. They're not budging on anything. They don't want to change anything. They don't want to do anything. And the thing is, everyone's asking for money. They're not even asking for a lot. We're asking for less than 1%, less than half of 1%. And no one wants to budge. So it's nice to see this backlash happening that's starting to backfire on them, like you guys just stated. So many other people now are unionizing and are trying to get their rights and job securities. And those jobs, even though right now they may not be affiliated with the industry, but it will affect the industry. Just like we're affecting them, it's going to affect us too. So it's nice to see that like the longer the producers stall, it's just going to hurt them in the end. So it's like, come on, just send everybody back to work, make the deal, negotiate. Let's do this.
The people in the AMPTP, I wonder how many of them have ever actually been on a set. That's what I wonder about these folks.
I don't think that they're affiliated really with, they're not producers.
They're lawyers.
They're just a third party that the studios have agreed to use. Like they're just a third party that they're like, keep everything under 3 to 4%, and we'll pay you a little bit, and our stockholders will make a shit ton of money.
Well, and it is because, their lead negotiator who represents them is, trying to unify all of these CEOs who.
Interesting. They're trying to unionize.
Yeah. But,
I know what you mean. I just thought it was funny that they're trying to unify.
No, I know.
Just like we are.
They're bargaining collectively together, but part of, because again, so much of what they do doesn't make sense, and so we've talked a lot about just on the picket lines of like, why are they doing this? This seems like against their own interests in addition to against ours. And I think the two big things are it's based on strategies that have worked historically in a world that no longer looks anything like this world. And they planned to be able to say no, basically. But now that they are in a position that they actually have to negotiate, we are getting them to the point where they've been forced to try to negotiate. Now that they're actually looking at how to do that, all of their interests are so different when you have like Apple and Amazon in the same room with Disney and Paramount. And so they getting the machine working as far as like what they can actually assent to together is where we're held up right now.
I'm actually glad that you brought this up and kind of broke that down for us, because I'm going to do a cheap plug here for Brian. Recently on Brian's show, Cruise Control Show, you guys were discussing, you were discussing with your guests about the fact that there are actually some studios that are willing to negotiate outside of the AMPTP.
The AMPTP, the alliance, because there's a lot of legacy studios that have been talking to WGA, and they've been saying, hey, we agree upon maybe this part or that part. The way that WGA said is that they're agreeing upon different aspects of their actual deal they've been putting out there. So they're saying maybe we can, work out side deals with each legacy studio as opposed to all the streaming stuff, because there's a lot of issues with that, with residuals especially. But maybe we get the legacy studios, we can work something out and do side deals. But then you're breaking apart the alliance in a lot of ways, which is probably not beneficial to the studios, because they've made that so they can have one cohesive deal that, everyone can agree upon. But there's also a problem for like even actors if that happens. Yeah. If that goes down, all of a sudden you're not have any idea what you're going to be paid, what your raises are going to be each year. It just makes it a whole different territory than we're used to. It would reshape the whole industry. Now, it's great to get back to work. I think that'd be awesome if we could sign some deals, but I think as a cohesive unit, it just helps everything. We had AFTRA before, the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, and then we merged, SAG Actor we became when SAG joined. And with AFTRA, there were all these side deals. We had no idea. Like, it made it really difficult to actually raise contracts, because they'd sign deals that would be like even longer than 3 years. Like, studio heads could sign a deal, and then when that show ended, it could begin again on the next show, and they could carry that for 3 seasons. So there's stuff like that I worry about if those deals go down. Yes, it'll get us back to work right now, but I think for the long haul, for our future, we need to work one deal. But that's one route they're talking about doing. But it might cause all the producers and the studio heads to actually scatter and get crazy and actually sign a deal, because they might get worried about, oh no, they're going to sign a deal. What are we going to do now? We're going to lose money. They're going to make money. So it might help actually cause some chaos amongst them, because they're trying to create chaos amongst everybody else, right? Especially WGA. Yeah, they're gaslighting them. It's so much BS. It really is.
And you know what I love too is they're trying to create this chaos, but it's chaos happening within their own structure, I guess, because look at the WGA, look at SAG, but look at IATSE, look at the Teamsters, look at all these other workers that are in this industry that are unifying, and they're all saying, no, like, hell no. Like, we set you a simple, like, here's what we want. This is what we're asking for. And it's not crazy what's being asked. And we're getting told no, or being like, you have to take this. This is the only deal you're going to get. And it's really nice to see, especially because I know that in the history of SAG, they never really had much of a backbone, no offense. But now it's nice to see that they have a backbone now, that they're actually like, no, WGA is doing this. We're going to do it too, because they do work hand in hand. A lot of actors and writers work hand in hand.
Thank you, Fran Drescher.
And it's nice to see that they're actually standing hand in hand. Thank you, Nanny Negotiator, right?
Hell yeah. Sometimes you got to break down the gates of Versailles.
We stand up tall.
Is that what they've been calling her? I've never heard that.
That's what they call her. That's what they've been calling her at the negotiator during negotiations. Yeah.
Leah,
because our old president wouldn't do it. She wouldn't stand up. I'm sorry to cut you up. Our old president wouldn't do that. She's a producer. She literally took Lydia took her production, because she was a producer while we were actually negotiating, and she took her production to Canada to avoid SAG-AFTRA rules. That tells you one thing. And then she actually advertised herself for her candidacy during the programming, which was also illegal, and she got reelected. So before, she was, I mean, hate to talk ill about people, but she was only causing more problems for our union, hence why we're at where we're at with our negotiations and why they're asking for an 11% raise up front, because it's been abysmal every contract. They should have done something in 2020, and they did not, because she was president and she would not stand up to the AMPTP. So that's why we're at where we're at. So we got to do it now.
There's a conflict of interest there for sure. And wasn't it Beverly Hills 90210 in Vancouver, Canada? I don't remember palm trees up near Seattle, and I lived there for years.
but it saved her a buck. It saved her a buck. She avoided all the union rules, and you're the president of the union.
That's what it comes down to, is them saving a buck when they have plenty to spare. And all we're asking for is job security, wage security. The cost of living in general outside of this industry all across the states is going up. It's hard out there. And we're not bitching and moaning about that. We're just saying we want to be paid fair wages so that we can pay our rent, pay our utilities, feed our children, have food on the table for ourselves, have that security to be like, I can take the week off. I can take, a month off for vacation and come back around. And this is good. It's healthy. I can get my break, because we also work extremely long hours. I mean, a lot of people on set, I can't speak for the writers, but I know that for me, my hours can be, now that I'm union and I'm a Teamster, it can be 10 to 12. Sometimes we go a little over depending on our shifts. But I know as a PA, I worked 16, 18-hour days. And I know in a lot of places that went around the rules, I have worked twice a 24-hour shift. Yeah. And that's insane.
Frustrating.
I was going to say, you are the man.
Well, they of course paid you like an AD. They paid you like an AD because all the ADs were sent home, of course, right?
I had an AD who actually looked out for me. The AD said at the 18-hour mark, he said, hey, I can't release you yet. Go over there, take a nap on that couch. We got to wrap this up over here until they get off the clock. I can't release you, but I have to keep you on the clock. They're not going to pay you. I'm not going to work you. So he looked out for me, and he did, because I told him I was 24 hours. Like, we're not paying you 24 hours. And I was like, but I worked 24 hours. And I willingly chose to help continue working just so that we can get out of there quicker. But my boss made it very clear, if you want to take a nap, you want to relax, do what you got to do, go sleep it off. You don't have to do this. And I said, I need to do
ADs are typically great. I'm just saying, like, I knew a few of them that were like, they'd have to be sent home by the showrunner because it's like, you are being paid way too much now. And then it's like, oh, somebody who should be paid AD got stuck with their job is all. Like, ADs were great. Like, they're the ones that keeping us safe on set.
And that's another thing too, is the DGA got their union deal signed immediately, but they were also right out there at the strikes the next day. I've seen so many of ADs that I've worked with. Yeah, they're out there and they're like, they get it. Like, they're not the issue. The DGA, the workers are not the issue. It is the higher up. It's those lawyers. It's the higher up. DGA is the issue, but not the
actual ADs. It's the producer DGA members are the issue, not the actual ADs, because there've been a lot of ADs out right now. Still, you're right. Some great ADs have been. I've seen them on the picket line. It's been awesome.
And I'm sorry for jumping around here. I had asked both Hayden and Leah earlier about being strike captains and what it's like out there. You're out there on the field. You're seeing all this happen. What is it like? And what exactly do you guys do as strike captains?
Well, for me, I'm mostly in the intersection of gate 2-3 with a megaphone, sometimes trying to keep people safe, reminding people to hydrate, kind of entertaining people, trying to lift spirits, keeping people safe from themselves. Sometimes we have some spicy drivers out there, and a lot of people try and think they can make that intersection, and I've seen so many cars just blow through reds, either because they would anyways, or they're paying attention to our picket lines and they just aren't thinking. But it gets real dangerous out there, and just keeping people safe, and that's my main thing, keeping people entertained.
What about you, Leah?
Yeah, in addition to safety, it's then organizing supplies and people. Basically, a lot of it is setting up all the supplies and stuff that we put out for picketers at the beginning of the day, making sure we're stocked up with things people need, especially on the hot days when things like having water and Gatorade and shade is a safety issue, and then breaking it down at the end of the day. I cannot believe how how the guilds both organize getting this much stuff to this many people every
it's impressive.
day. Yeah, and we've been doing it
You guys
for
are
months.
killing it, by the way. I just want to say you're killing it. As the kids say, here's your flowers. You've earned them.
Yeah, no, and it honestly, having a community and having stuff to do, I did hear, like, picketing is for the visibility and the protest and the public facing part of it as much as it is for us, for having something to do with your energy and with your anxiety, for all of the conversations that come out of seeing all the other members and all the other members of other unions and just hearing, oh my God, that's happening to you too, or you're being treated this way. There was a lot of, like, I thought my career was in kind of a frustrating place because, you know, I wasn't working hard enough, like I wasn't hustling enough, or I must not be good enough. And then it was like, oh, I'm actually like doing pretty well compared to the horrible things people are putting up with lately. So yeah, the community of it, man, I went on a tangent there, but
no, it was great. Keep going.
That's a great one.
That's why, yeah, we're out there facilitating this and just trying to make sure it goes as smoothly as possible, and we have the stuff we need to do that every day.
And you know, something that I'm a little confused about, but me personally, I show up to these strikes and I wear my Hollywood Teamsters Union shirt because I want to show, like, hey, today for the recording, obviously I'm wearing my SAG Strong shirt just because, you know, hey, why not? But when I go to the strikes, I show up in my Teamster gear with my little pin that says, you know, Teamsters don't cross the picket line. I get the sign for SAG or the sign for Writers Guild, and I show my support. But you guys have these check-in centers. You have these places where you can sign in. You don't have to. I found this out recently. You don't have to be an actual writer or an actor to sign in, and you can give them your info. So I sign in at both booths and I let them know, like, I'm a Teamster, I'm just here in solidarity. What is the purpose of these sign-ins?
I looked into it because I was asked it a while ago, and it is for numbers. It's so that we can tally numbers, but also just so that everybody is aware there's language on those that says that we can use your picture. So when you're on the strike lines, there's language. Yeah, there is language that says that SAG or WGA can use your picture that they take on the lines of you on their socials. So that's
I don't mind
aspect.
at all.
At least that's what I got from staff.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be different for us because at least the stuff we have people sign in, it's just like name, email address, affiliation. Yeah. But I was told that same thing about it's for numbers and to count up our support. I do know that there are people at the end of the day, staff at the end of the day, who literally type in every name.
Oh my God.
Because they've said, like, hey, can you tell people to write neater, please? Because this is a nightmare.
Oh, man. Well, you know, for those of you listening out there right now, for anyone that lives in any area where there's a strike happening and you want to show up and show your support, even if you're not in the industry, if you're outside, but you love watching these movies, you have your favorite TV shows, and you want to show some support and some solidarity, come on down. Come on over. Sign in at the booth. Let them know, hey, I have nothing to do with you guys, but I'm here to show support. They'll be happy to take your name and to know that you're there to show that support. So please don't be shy. Come out there and strike with us. It's awesome.
If you own a TV, come on down.
It makes me feel good.
Grab a picket sign, bring a sign from home, make a sign, and grab any of the merch that they have, show support.
Now I'm going to touch on a bit of a sore subject. The strike has affected people. It really has. It's hurting everyone, but I feel it's necessary, and I'm not angry at the WGA. I'm not angry at SAG. I understand why there's a strike. That's why I go and I show my support and my solidarity, and I march with you guys. I know that financially it has been a huge burden. It has been a struggle. It's like, you know, keeping head above water. It's greatly affected me. But every time I go to these strikes, I feel so much better when I do it. And I know that in the end, it's going to work out for everyone because what benefits you guys will end up eventually benefiting me. But I'd like to ask you all, how has this strike affected you personally?
Even before the strikes even happened, there was this like looming doom that they were going to go down. So a lot of productions just waited to start. Like, we're going to wait till May 1st. We're not sure we're going to start because if a production starts and then they have to shut down, it costs them more money. So this year has been tough for me too, because I came off Ant-Man Quantumania and I was looking for another job, and then like something came up and then it went away. You know, it was like, oh, they're pulling it, now they're going to wait. And then financially, of course, that sucks. But that's why we're talking about there's the Motion Picture Charitable Assistance Fund. There's a SAG Foundation. There's actually Ryan Murphy has a whole thing out there. If you worked on a Ryan Murphy production, ryanmurphyproductions.com/assist, you can get on there, and he's actually donating money. So financially, it helps. And then for me, it's like, it's been a long time being on set. Mentally too, I think that it's like my drive is acting. And I think that I've kind of changed that more and more, like going this online form with the cruise control, doing that's helped me. But a lot of people don't have that. They don't have that outlet to like get their creative juices out there. And it does bug me not being on set. It's like, it makes you wonder, like, can I survive and stay here and keep doing this? Or am I going to lose this whole thing I've been building for 14 years because the money will dry up eventually? What do I do? So that is something that mentally does kind of weigh on you a little bit. And it's like, the positivity gets dwindled down a little bit, but overall it's like finances, staying strong. It's tough, but I think as a community, like those big marches, they had a big march yesterday, that kind of stuff, and getting together and these big like solidarity movements help keep us in mind so that we are all doing this together because we love the art, we love what we do, and we have to battle through the times until these AMPTP finally gives in and helps us take care of us so we can have a living doing this. Because it drives me nuts this is even happening. It shouldn't be going on this long, but mentally I'm still holding in there though. I'm still holding in there.
just to jump in real quick too, the whole like it shouldn't be going on this long, and it's stressful, it's emotional, it's financially burdening, but it's also the angrier people are getting, especially the picketers, the angrier we are getting, the more solidified and the more we are coming together. And it's so awesome because every time I'm feeling down, I try and go out at least once a week. I mean, I have my own life. I have my kid to take care of. I get that. Everyone does. But when I'm feeling down and it's getting to me, I go out I just show up. I just go and look and see where a strike is nearby. And I'll just drive by a studio, see one, pull over and get out for 2-3 hours. And it feels so good to be there and to see everyone else expressing that same feeling, but they're doing it together where like we're not mad at each other. We know where the anger is appropriately directed. And I love seeing that. I'm sorry I had to jump in with that real quick.
Big time in history.
Yeah. How's it affected the rest of you guys? How do you feel?
What you guys are just saying makes me think of what was mentioned at a captain's meeting we just had a couple days ago, where our leadership said solidarity is high, but morale is low. And that really is true for my personal life as well. My husband is also in the industry, but isn't in a union, but he got laid off as well, kind of because of stuff like this in July. So we luckily are nowhere near food insecurity or not being able to pay rent, but just watching funds go down. And so it's been a couple months of both of us not working, and I'm interviewing for full-time jobs. I was just taking part-time work and trying to keep myself on the picket lines. But yeah, it's at the point where I have to take full-time work.
Same. I feel you.
Yeah. So like mental health stuff does kind of come and go, like it comes in waves, where I just try to let it happen to me, where it's like today's a bad day and that's fine. Today's a good day and I'm gonna enjoy that. And yeah, it's been up and down.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. Hayden, Paul, how do you guys feel with this strike?
Well, yeah, it's been a huge financial hit. Like it was mentioned before, it's been slow for a while for me. Like I started feeling it at least last summer. Things started really reining in. And as I wasn't just joking, like, yeah, I'm definitely going to have to put in for that entertainment fund. There's a few other things that I'm going to have to look into. I've been doing like the part-time work, trying to do some of that. I jumped on Rover, started dog sitting. There's been a few other things that I've been meaning to do for years. Like it got me to start putting my random nerd collections up on eBay that I have been dragging around for years. So I got action figures and comic books. Well, this was always a plan. Like I had to cut myself off cold turkey when I had a good job. I was like, man, I'm spending way too much money on this stuff. And but now is the time that I need to just start selling it. And it's slow going, so I'm looking into full-time work, whatever I possibly can at this point. And I've had a few just low things as well, like right during the thing, like my transmission has gone out, so now I'm biking to WB, which has kept me in great shape.
Yeah, you're gonna look great when you come back to film.
Positive way to look at it. That's awesome.
Yeah. Next action star, here he comes.
But yeah, it's been like was also mentioned the mental troubles of just like, I'm used to being on set, used to being around people, the social aspect, the community aspect of going to the pickets has really been one of the driving forces. Like I could feel my mental health be better because it is not our fault. That's one of the things, is that like, it's easy as artists to just keep on coming down on ourselves. Like, I'm not hustling enough. I'm not doing, well, you are. It's just, this game is really rigged against us right now. And not just like it used to be. Like, it's really, shareholders are the priority and not the art and not the workers. And we need to change that. And that's a hard thing to just feel like, man, nobody cares about the workers. When you just look around at all the industries, you're just like, man, we're all getting screwed right now. The cost of living is going up for everybody. The wages are stagnated. You know, everybody says we're helping you. Nobody really kind of is in positions of power. It's just, and it can really feel bad.
Infuriating.
Yeah. Go on the strike line and yell about it.
That's right.
We know the profits are there. I just wanted to add that too. Like, we know the profits are there. They're making great money at the top. They just need to share it.
And we only want less than 1%.
Yeah. Seriously.
That's it.
Such a good
Yeah. So to answer your question, I'm angry. I'm angry at, to be honest, I'm angry at a lot of things, in particular this year. Without getting too much into it, I have been affected financially, not just by the strikes, but also the fact that, well, I haven't worked in months. And it's unfortunately led me to making some tough life choices recently, because I sometimes feel like, I don't know what it is. It's just, I've encountered a lot of bad luck over the years in the industry. I know many of us have, and I feel like, I don't know, I keep thinking, did I do something wrong to not get me to a point where I feel like I could be stable enough, or I could be a better place in my career? And now I see this happening, how it's affecting so many people in the industry and affecting the unions that I want to join so that I can make my big things happen in my career. And I see all of us struggling now and fighting, and I just know that I want to be a part of that, and I want to help out however way I can, because I am not giving up on my career. I might have to take a break and recharge and get my financials in order, but I am not taking a break, because I want to believe. We have a saying in Arabic, inshallah, which means God willing. If God wills it, so inshallah, we all get the deals that we want. God willing, it happens, and these strikes can end, and we'll all get back on our feet. I am so proud of seeing so many people out there in solidarity and fighting, and I am ready to just shut anybody down who says that these strikes, like, people are just, everyone's spoiled in Hollywood, they make enough money and blah, 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 or I'm not supporting whatever.
The frustration is real, man. The frustration is there.
The frustration is real, like, whether it comes in the form of, like, a family member or a friend who doesn't work in the industry, so far away, and doesn't actually realize how big of an issue this is. The frustration has also came with the fact that twice now, as I've been, like, walking up to the picket lines, I've had people yell at me from their car, like, I want to go back to work, or get back to work, or like, this is all happening because of you, like, you're ruining this for us. And I'm like, it's not my fault, you know, it's not our fault. It's not the WGA, it's not SAG After. You know whose fault it is, and they're the ones who have to fix it. So,
and I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's the main reason why I am doing this special episode today. Is I really want people to understand what the strike is, what's going on, why we're doing it, and how even us as being ones that are showing up picketing, as you know, we have two captains here that are there every day to express, like, this is why we're doing it, and we want others to know. We don't want to shove you away. We don't want you to keep yelling at us, because we want you to understand why we're here. And I really appreciate everyone coming on today and saying your piece and you know, explaining things. Thank you so much. I've learned a lot, you know, especially with the AI, with what we're trying to ask for in these deals. The fact that, you know, we're not asking for a lot. We really aren't. We're asking for 1%. No, excuse me. We're asking for less than half of 1%. I believe the official number is like, what, 0.18%?
Something ridiculous.
It's so small. That's all we want.
I thought SAG's was like 0.97 or something like that. I thought that's what SAG After was.
Even still, it's under 1%. It's under 1%.
They want almost a 1%.
Like, they're not even asking for the 1%. They're asking for almost a 1%.
But it's of the gross. It's of the gross income. That's what it is. So the gross income of everything. If they say that the numbers are skewed, they don't have the numbers. They have the numbers for the streaming.
Yeah,
but if they're saying they don't have the numbers, they fluctuate. Then why can't we get less than 1% of your gross profits to pay for residuals? That just makes sense, right? We can't have a piece of the pie. We've done it for years. Let us have a piece of the pie. If you can't base it off numbers anymore. Base it off how much you make every year. That makes sense to me. It's not even a percent.
I just got my first residual ever.
I saw that. That was sad.
Yeah, I know, right? Like
19
I did a
cents
stunt
was it?
on 911.
Oh no,
9 cents. Yeah, first residual, 9 cents.
9 cents, not even 19.
They've been late paying too. WGA members, apparently the AMPTP has been late paying right now. That's something that just came out. So it's like people are waiting on residual checks, but they're not paying them on time because of these strikes too. So that's something else that just came out this week. So very nice, very nice.
Well, guys, I'm going to wind this up. I'm going to, wind this down here. I just want to ask you, where do you see the future of the industry once we get this deal? Because it's not if, it's when. So once we get this deal and we can all go back to work, where do you see the future of the industry going?
I'm just hoping not only am I hoping that everybody gets what they want, what they need, I am hoping that this can also encourage people who want to get into the industry, whichever path they want to pursue in this business. I hope that this will encourage them to be just as strong as fighters as we've been during this whole time, to fight for their rights, for fair pay, for fair treatment, for creativity, for independence. I'm just hoping it can really influence future generations so that we don't ever have to do this again.
Right. Hell yeah. No, I like that. And you guys can jump in however you want, but where do you see the future of this industry once we come back from this strike?
Well, I'd like to see it. I guess the thing that's coming to my mind is less gate kept, like more opportunities for everybody instead of less.
Yeah, definitely more opportunities.
Yeah, more support to the people that are actually working on the sets, not the people that are trying to profit off of their work. As just kind of general things, like there's a lot of specific things with the contracts that I'd love, but
specifically, I'd like to see less hours so that we're not, going to the extreme exhaustion. It would none of this 12-hour camera day. I want a 12-hour day. You're off the set. So that means a 10-hour camera day. I would love to see 10-hour camera days, especially because they talk about all this money they're wasting and all this stuff that's going. It was all right, well, you have talented actors, you have talented crew. You can get this done in 10 hours, whatever it is that you're trying to film. And if it stretches out another day or two of filming, that's still fine because if you get it when you need it, you don't have to worry about reshoots and adding even more time. And doing these 14-hour, 16-hour days, they're insane.
Yeah, they can't say that they pay us adequately because we have to do 12 to 14-hour days for them being paid inadequately in our wages. Oh, well, you're making your money in overtime. Thank God for that. And you're like, well, yeah.
But you look at it, the overtime's nice, but it's not even that much of a incentive to want to continue. Especially when it's all right, see you in 6 hours. Hope you have time to sleep, shower, or use the bathroom, decide which one, and get back here.
If that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I hope that we see from this year, and hopefully the strike that is over soon, I hope that we see a lasting Hollywood labor unification. We haven't been this unified anytime since I've gotten here. Apparently it hasn't been any time recently. That
the last time was the 60s?
Yeah. That we just feel like we are on the same side now. And I know things change throughout history, but I hope at least for the end of our lives, everybody remembers and knows that, we are better together. It's us against the people with all the money. And just speaking of shorter hours, I'm excited to be out on the picket lines for you guys next year. And I also hope that they take us seriously and it doesn't get to that point. But I'm excited that we all, I think, know our strength and know what side we're on now.
Mm-hmm. And I think they know our strength and what side we're on and are knowing that we're willing to do whatever it takes. And it hurts because we just came out of a pandemic and got back to work. And it's That hurt us a lot too. So we need this. We need just some stability. And that's all we're asking for. Financial stability, security, knowing that like I am pursuing something that it's not just my dream, it's a passion. It's what I love doing. This pays my checks, but I want to continue making film projects and doing my own stuff outside of the studios. But I love being on studio sets. I love being in that atmosphere. I love the amazing people I get to meet. It's the first job in a long time that I wake up every morning when I go to work, no matter how exhausted I am from the day before, how tired I am, how just worn out. Even if I had a bad day the previous day, I still wake up with a smile on my face and I'm ready. I'm excited because I love what I do. And that's why we do this. We love it. And we just want to be able to continue enjoying the monetary benefits of it.
Yeah, just because we love it doesn't mean that we don't need to be adequately compensated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It needs to happen. I just really hope that there's transparency with the numbers or a share of the gross profits. I hope that's something that just comes into fruition and moves forward. I hope they start, the AMPTP looks at this and says, hey, these people actually do matter. Look at how many people are coming out to support us that aren't in our unions. Look how many people are talking about across the country about how we need to make more to actually be able to have a life, have a family, be able to afford to make this a career, make this a profession, because it is a profession. Yes, it's art and it's amazing art. I don't want to lose the art. I really do not want to lose it. It's all a bunch of money. It's all they care about. Hopefully they see that there's actually artists that are working here and performing for you and making something fantastic. And they don't forget that, because AI is never going to be what a human being is. Yes, it can be a starting point for things. That's great. But without humans actually creating this art, it loses everything. And I don't want to lose the art. And I wanted to make it so it's a profession for all of us. And it's really frustrating that they're looking at it as a gig job. It's not a gig job. We're not just out of college, most of us. There are some, but I mean, a lot of us have given up a lot of our lives to do this profession. I'm talking about years away from your family because you've moved across the country. I'm talking about years away from your wife and your kids because of you're working 14, 16-hour days, because you love it and you should be compensated for that because of all the time. And yes, it should be shorter hours because we deserve to have a life. And I wish at the end of the day that the AMPTP realizes we're human beings that deserve to be paid right so we can actually live and create art for you and for the country, because that's really what this comes down to. It's an escape. 100%. And we love to make this for people. So let's pay people right so we can create that escape for everyone else, because there's a lot of shit that happens in this world that's really tough from day in and day out. We deserve an opportunity to put out this art to let people just escape and have fun and smile. End of the day, smile. Come on.
Right. And you know what? I'm just going to point out one thing here. Let's say that the strike fails. Let's say that the studios get what they want. The AMPTP gets what they want, right? We continue on the same path. Where's the incentive from Hollywood to get us to want to work with them again? To get us to want to continue doing what we love in this industry? Where's the incentive? Because if they continue on this path and they actually get what they want and don't even bother to negotiate, I mean, they don't even make the effort like they've been doing, not making the effort, not even trying. Where's the incentive from them to get us to work for their product? Because if we're all making this pie together, we all deserve a piece of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think there is any incentive.
Sorry, I guess that's more of a rhetorical.
Yeah, I think it answers itself.
I think if people don't go to theaters, though, Jacob, if people don't go to theaters and watch these products that are all AI based or watch these TV shows and support human beings, that could help change things. But until the thing is, if we sign a deal that sucks right now, 3 years from now, we go to renegotiate again, it's going to be even worse. And you're going to see jobs just disappear and everyone move away and the economy is going to go bust in California. And it's going to be horrible for the art form and it'll be gone unless people don't go watch it, because you're going to get garbage if you don't have human beings.
That's right. You will get garbage. You know what? Here's a little history lesson. They have that saying that for those who don't know their history, they're doomed to repeat it. And let's just remember, before the studios came along, when Thomas Edison made those original Nickelodeons, it was nothing but cat videos. That's right. The original films were all cat videos long before, 100 years before YouTube. It was cat videos.
I appreciate this.
That's all he made was these cat videos. And you had the Warner Brothers, you had Paramount and a bunch of artisans. These are really old production houses. I apologize if I get the names wrong, but you had all these different production houses that were like, hey, Edison has a stranglehold on the film industry. We want to make, actual films that people can enjoy. So they went out here to California and they made their own production houses and they made their own videos, and they pretty much wiped out Edison completely. got him completely out of the way. So in my weird analogy metaphor is that the AMPTP needs to remember Edison's history and what happened when he got too selfish, he got too greedy, and he said, no, I'm only going to do it the way I want to do it. And I don't care what anyone else wants. And you make enough cat videos. Yeah, they're cute to watch, but people are going to get sick of it. That's it. That's my weird analogy metaphor and a little history.
I like it.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
No, it's true. Look it up. Thomas Edison was a major butthead. And that's why we have the film industries we have today. It's really why we have Warner Brothers, is because they were like, this is insane. I want to go make my movies. So that's why they got together with Buster Keaton and all these silent film errors. And they turned cinema into what it is now.
Remember the past.
So remember, AMPTP, we don't really need you because we can do this ourselves. Just got to go and do it. I would like to not have to get that desperate and that far along, but hell, I'll do it. I'll find whoever's willing to help.
Hence the reason for those interim agreements too, so that they know that like independent studios will take our contract. They'll do it. Why won't you?
I'm right there with A24. Come on, A24. Let's be it's been 100 years. And if the studios haven't learned the lessons in 100 years, maybe we should just, literally do the same thing they did 100 years ago.
Yeah. Taylor Swift also did an interim agreement as well for her Eras tour movie. And that's going to be a big one.
Huge.
I really appreciate everyone coming on today. Thank you so much, Leah. Thank you, Hayden. And thank you, Brian. Well, Paul, I really appreciate you coming on today, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate your contributions. I really love what you're doing for the other workers out there, especially looking out for, the little people, the non-union,
sure.
The other helping hands, because it takes so many people to make a film work and to make a show work. And I don't think people really grasp all the helping hands that we have. So I appreciate that you got this fund going for the PAs out there. Once again, tell me about this fund. How can we help out? And if anyone wants to follow you, where can they find you?
Thank you. Well, you can follow me on Instagram. My handle is Pollywoodforever. Right now, I'm raising funds through my Etsy store, which is called Plenty of Paul, which we saw a lot of in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Wink, wink. In that one scene. But yeah, the store is called Plenty of Paul. And I'm selling items on there. They're specifically marked items where 20% of sales will go to the Entertainment Community Fund, and certainly specific marked items, 20% of sales will go towards the Go For PAs Alliance, which was actually started by a couple of ADs, Andrea Block and Katie Winker. You can check those out. And like I said, check me out on Instagram as well.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure being on here.
Yeah, I love having you. You'll be doing this again.
For sure. Thank you.
Leah, I really appreciate you coming on, and, as a WGA strike captain, I appreciate your input. I appreciate your firsthand knowledge and experience of what's going on, and all around just your personal opinion of how you feel right now and what's been happening. So thank you so much for contributing to this. Thank you for coming on. And if anyone would like to help out with the WGA strike, how can they go about doing so, even if they can't make it to the picket line? And of course, if anyone wants to follow you and see all the amazing work you've done, or just say hi in your social life, where can we find you?
Yeah, definitely, as others have mentioned, donate to the Entertainment Community Fund, because that helps not only writers, but everybody in the industry who is affected by this. Oh, but also even easier and cheaper is just kind of pay attention to official social media accounts of the WGA and amplify what people are saying.
Yeah, amplify it.
Yes. And if anybody wants to follow me, I'm at Leah Folta, at LeahFolta on Instagram and on Twitter.
Awesome. Thank you, Leah. Mr. Hayden, again, another strike captain out there supporting SAG, supporting WGA, just helping everyone out, man. I appreciate you coming on. Just like I said to Leah, I really like having captains on that can really help break down what this strike is about, what's going on. It's your firsthand experience. You have the knowledge, what's happening. And things change every day. So I really appreciate you coming on and contributing as well. And I just want to know, if people want to support SAG, how can they go about doing that? How can we support those working actors like yourself, like Brian, like Paul? Like, how do we go about doing that? And also, if we just want to reach out and say hi to you on social media, where can we find you?
Well, right on. Yeah, the Entertainment Community Fund is supporting a lot of us these days. And also the social media, just talk to your friends and family about what's going on. If you hear something that's counter to what you've heard us say, then, you know, give them some pushback. I've heard a lot of wild things. Where I grew up is pretty rural and doesn't follow the same politics that I tend to do. But the narrative that they get is far different than what actually are experiencing on the lines. But yeah, just if you want to donate, I'm sure there's routes, I just don't know the way, but if you wanted to donate water, we get donations of water on the line. We get donations of all kinds of things. Like, people brought us bananas sometimes.
That's awesome.
You know,
gotta have that potassium for all that walking.
Exactly. I've had a few bananas to get me through the day.
Just if you search for the DSA snack list, I know they post about it on Twitter, but if you just search that, Google that, I think you should be able to find that. They give us a lot of snacks and water. And at Chess Morse, ChessMorse, that's a pre-WGA writer who feeds us pizza every day. I thought it was coming from the guild for months, and they actually organize donations.
Awesome. A non-union member. See, that's
so
what
cool.
I'm talking about, that solidarity, how everyone's looking out for everyone. That's amazing.
Absolutely. And if you wanted to say hi, I'm pretty much only really on Instagram at Hayden Hiebert Actor. That's my handle, is Hayden Hiebert Actor. HaydenHiebert Actor.
Nice. And of course, I will have links in the show notes for everyone.
Nice.
And Hayden, thank you again, man. I really appreciate you coming on today. Thank you
You're
for
very
taking
welcome.
time.
Thanks for having me on this.
Actually, thank you both, Leah and Hayden, for literally coming straight from the picket line to sit down and do this this show with me. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time, both of you.
You're very welcome.
Mr. Brian, as always, Brian Kruse at Cruise Control. I really appreciate it, man. I love working with you. We do a lot of stuff together, both on and off the screen. It's a pleasure to have you come on with your personal experience. You're one of my oldest friends here in LA that I've met, and you know, you have a lot of knowledge, you have a lot of experience, you've offered a lot, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come onto my show today to really just give your point of view as a working actor here in Los Angeles for almost not even almost. It's been over 15 years now, right?
We're pushing 15 in September. Actually, I'll be 15 years in here, which is crazy to me. But yeah, right. Jacob, love being here. Love just chatting with you about this stuff. You know, it's always fantastic to spread the word and tell people what's going on. As like Hayden was saying too, it's like people just don't get it sometimes in like some of these other areas in the country, and they just think we're being like greedy actors. And it's not about that. It's the same thing they're fighting for every day within their unions and their jobs. They just want equal pay for equal rights. They'll have a family and able to have a living, because at the end of the day, we want to be able to work and that money generate enough money for us to live and actually have a fulfilled life and not be feeling like you're going for every day you're chasing the buck so that you can actually pay your bills. We want to be able to just live and have a good time and create art. That's what we want. And unfortunately, that's been lost here in Hollywood. So let's get that back. And you can find me at Brian.Kruse, Kruse, Brian.Kruse, or at Cruise Control Show on all your social media. And check us out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6:30 p.m., 9:30 Eastern Standard Time at Cruise Control on YouTube.
And for those of you who aren't aware, if you check out his show, he does a great job of doing entertainment news from people within the industry. So you're actually getting opinions from people who actually know what they're talking about because they have lived it, they have experienced it, they work in it. So if you want to hear some entertainment news and you're like, well, what's all the hubbub about? It's like, well, they'll give their opinions and they'll tell you, but he sets the facts first, then expresses opinions. And he's been doing a great job of keeping people informed on the up-to-date things that are happening with this strike. Anytime something comes up in the news related to the strike and what's going on, Brian is right there on his show talking about it. And I really appreciate it, man. It's part of the reason why I want to do this special, because I've been listening to what you're doing. And it's like, I want to just get more information out there. I want people to really understand this. So spreading the word, spreading the love. Thank you, Brian.
Spread that love. Yeah. Thank you, Jacob.
All right. To everyone out there listening, I hope you've enjoyed the guests that I've had on today. I hope you have a better understanding of what's actually going on with this WGA SAG strike, why we're doing it, why it's important, why it's worth it. And I really hope that you gain some knowledge. And as they've all said, if you want to help contribute, if you want to, donate some funds, or you just want to show up and pick up a sign and march with us, come on down, do it. There are links in the show notes to check out all these different funds that you can donate to help them out. It's just artists wanting to create art while being paid appropriately for doing so. So yeah, thank you all so much for tuning into this special episode. And until the next time, stay golden. Thanks for listening. Please be sure to rate and review and click that subscribe button for new bi-weekly episodes. As always, the theme music is provided by The Erica Page. Follow us on social media at IPA Sessions Podcast. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now we have a TikTok and YouTube. All information and links are in the show notes. So show some love and support for these amazing indie artists. And if you'd like to come on and share your journey as an independent artist, reach out to me via email at ipasessionspodcast@gmail.com. Till next time, I hope you found some inspirations for practical application and entertainment.